I don't even know. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the clock out. I'm a little worried because it's lagging and I don't know if it's me or if it's my streaming service, but I'm going to check it out. So I'm sorry if it's lagging. And if it's not, then it might, if it is still lagging, then it might mean we might not be able to do this live. Okay. So, hi. Love y'all. Welcome in. Today we are talking about how DEI is not done, and how, as Black women, we can advance the work of DEI in our day to day without coming outside of our rest. So, give me just a minute to try and check and just see if it looks okay on other platforms. If not, I don't know what to tell us. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. So, if you're here and you do see it, like, let me know if it's okay. It looks fine. Does it look fine? I don't know. It looks okay. On my side, it looks super laggy. So anyway, y'all let me know out there in the comments if you're here. Say hello and let me know if you are seeing this live okay. But I love y'all. Welcome in. Okay. So I'm gonna just go with it thinking it looks okay. It looks a little okay. Sorry for you all who are watching this and you don't know. Hi, welcome in. My day is going great. I hope it looks okay. So let me know if the live looks and sounds okay on your side. I'm a little bit worried. It looks lagging on my end. Okay. So today, if we'll see how it goes. But today I am talking about how DEI is not done. I'm talking about how we can really continue to advance the work of DEI. I know that there's a lot of scary stuff, lawsuits, executive orders, things that would lead us all to believe that the work is no more, that we cannot continue the great work of DEI. But I think we might have to do DEI with a different name. We might need to do it a little bit quieter. We might need to be a little bit more strategic in how we choose to live out our commitment to DEI. But at the end of the day, we can still move forward. And I'm going to say this at the beginning of like, I feel like a lot of times the people who want to do the right thing and do things ethically, we feel like we have to do things like above board, or we have to call it or say exactly what we're doing. Otherwise, we're not being transparent. We're not being we're being liars, right? But I think that in this case, right, like we don't need to play fair, okay? I'm not saying to go low, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing to advance the mission? Like, what are we doing to move forward, right? And still be able to do DE&I today. So that's what I'm talking about. So if you are new here, welcome to the Clock Out. My name is Mercedes Swan. I am the Career Love Coach, and I have a commitment to see Black women really enter their Black Woman Bliss era. So doing things like building a career that they love or launching a business that they feel like is successful. And then ultimately coming together to help us feel and exist in a lifestyle that we truly love. Okay. So that is what I'm here for. Right. And so that also means that I'm here for Black women. Hi, Nicole. Nicole, let me know if it sounds and looks okay over here. It feels laggy to me, but I've tried to reset, restart, do all the things, but it's still a little bit laggy. So might mean we are where we are. I actually did not try a different camera. Okay, give me 1 second and just see if I use my basic Logitech and see if that works a little bit better. 1 second. Oh, it's saying it can't even detect the Logitech. Something is going on with my computer. No, it's still loggy. Oh, wait. No, I think it's still laggy. Okay. I'm just going to stay here. All right. Wow, we're starting off strong with crazy stuff in the comments. Okay. Well, so welcome in. Like I said, we are talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion today and how each of us can continue to move forward with that work and the important work of DEI, even if we are banned or not able to use that terminology, right? So like I said, the Clock Out is a space that I create for Black women so that we can truly come together, talk about the things that are, impacting us, challenging us, and also in a way that kind of like helps to share knowledge. Welcome in to the TikTok fam. See you all over there. Um, and so I am going to talk to you about how I did DEI before DEI. It was cool. No, I'm just kidding. It was cool. I just didn't know about it. And really before I truly understood what it meant to do DEI work and the importance of it, and kind of a little bit about my journey in different ways. Like, I'm going to walk you through the process of how we can truly do that. And to what I was saying earlier before I tried to switch my camera was that often we are in a place where, we say, oh, well, if we don't have the word, if we can't call it D&I, that we can't move it forward. And it's like, no, we can do this every single day in the work that we do. True DE&I, if we are truly committed to DE&I, it is embedded into everything that we do, right? It's not an initiative. It's not, a particular project. It's truly who we are and what we do. And so I know that it could be a little bit polarizing to, I know, to say DEI higher right in this way and how it's been misconstrued. But the reality is, if we are truly committed to DEI, there's no way to separate it from us, right? We are DEI, you are DEI if you're doing the work, if you're committed, because DEI and really doing it is not just something that is a project or an initiative. It is something that's deeply embedded into who we are and what we do. Okay. So, as I mentioned, like as a human resources professional, I absolutely did DE&I and embedded into the work that I do. So I'm going to tell you, like I said, I'm going to show you a little bit of my story and kind of how I came to kind of better understand like this was actually DE&I work. But I do want to talk a little bit about like a topic that your girl has been upset about it. Okay. Your girl has been upset about a lot of the stuff happening, particularly with Target and Auntie Tab right now. Not because I am here to defend Target or that I feel like Auntie Tab needs to be defended because she is her own powerhouse, but I'm saying that as an example of how we need to listen. Thank you so much for the likes, B. Welcome into the live. And so for this whole scenario, right, I made a video where I was talking about, hey, are you saying lorks? What is with the eyes? Okay, 1 second. I want to see if this is actually an issue. Okay, one second. Y'all give me a minute. Are you saying lorks? What is with the eyes? Okay, 1 second. I want to see if this is actually an issue. Okay. Oh, is it because of the hair? I'm doing the hair while I'm going. I was talking a lot, so maybe that's why. It's fine. Thank you for reminding me to do my hair. My mom's on TikTok saying lorks. I don't know what lorks means. Oh, okay. Lord love. Okay, that's fine. Lord to the hair. I'll take that. That's okay. That's fair. We're out here doing stuff. But what I was trying to say, what I was talking about in that video is the fact here. Let me go ahead and pull it out. Okay, here it is right here. Let's do it. But I was basically saying that for diversity, equity, and inclusion, like we have to listen and we have to see what people are doing, right? So there could be people right now that say, oh, thank you for the gifts. There are people right now that could say they are deeply committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, but yet they don't actually do the work, which is what we have seen for many, many years with everybody having, after, I don't think I can say the M word, but what happened to George Floyd, because I don't want to get censored. But what happened to George Floyd, right? And we had all these organizations that came out and say, we're committed to D&I. We truly do D&I. And then people were saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to support these organizations who are committed to anti-racism, right? But we know the truth is that some of those organizations did not really mean it. They never did what they said they were going to do. They didn't embed D&I into the work that they do. So what I'm saying is that can continue to be true today for people who are doubling down on DE&I and also for people who are saying that they are switching their DE&I strategy. I'm not saying for the people who have just completely dismantled their programs, right? Because that is very clear, right? There's nothing coming back into it. There's no other initiatives that are going out there. But I'm saying this to Target because I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm about to say. I don't want you to think that I have made a particular decision one way or another about Target. But what I'm saying is that Target's work and what they did actually led to more representation and better favorable outcomes for Black people, right? And D&I is not just about Black people if you're here and you don't know that, but but for individuals who are underrepresented. So same thing for creators and merchandise and opportunities provided to the LGBTQ plus community and creators and businesses, right? And so I say all of that to say that I was genuinely surprised, right? When Target, yes, being Black is my entire identity. I love this for you. I'm glad that you didn't know that I love being Black. I love being Black. There's nothing that I would rather be than a Black woman. Okay, all right. I'm gonna have to create that as a video later. There is nothing that I would rather be than being a Black woman. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I saw all. So somebody said on TikTok that, oh, happy Danny is taking all of her journals out of Target. Yeah, I did see that. But and I'm not even saying like, okay, like I'm not even saying that's a bad thing because we don't know right now. We don't know. But what I'm saying is that Target they said they were pulling back their DEI programs. They were eliminating all of these things, right? But at the same time, they launched this belonging initiative, right? Which is a word that people who are still going to do DEI are going to use because it's not often. I mean, I know people who are in DEI and understand what DEI know that DEI B is an acronym as well, but it's a different piece, right? And so if the creators and the businesses and the hiring initiatives, whatever you want to call it, or the vendor diversity keeps happening, I don't care if you call it belonging. I don't care if you want to call it, I don't know. I don't really care. But if it keeps happening, the work continues. I'm going to still support Target if it is just a rebranding, right? And what I'm trying to say here, the part that's really like I'm losing sleep about is that people don't understand that we have to listen right now about what people are actually doing versus what they're saying. And again, we don't know what Target's saying yet, but we have to listen. We have to understand because in this market, in this political climate, I would rather have us relabel the work for it to continue rather than destroy it because we're not willing to see it under a different name or a different lens, right? Because this work has continued under a lot of different names. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I still had that up. Let me go ahead and put this back up. If you all want to join me for my webinar, I do have a webinar. It is back up. Sorry. Let me see the questions. Oh, hi. Oh, hey, Tamara. Yeah, of course. You got to hear the rant, okay? But yeah, I mean, this live is all about D&I, Tamara, so you're going to hear it. One of the ladies was like, I frequently go on D&I rants. That's okay. It's part of my personality. I'm okay with that. Okay, so I'm saying this is that in this dragging or in potentially this lack of understanding about what this truly looks like in our landscape about supporting DE&I, right? We have dragged a Black woman, we have dragged a Black-owned business potentially to her detriment because we don't understand the climate. And that's what I'm really trying to have a conversation about of like, we need to see what's really going on here. And so if we can kind of pull back what DEI really is, how this impacts us, how we can continue to do the work, then I think we are better equipped to see when organizations are just relabeling it to protect the work and how we can protect the work and still support the organizations that support us versus just letting it all loose and crashing out on the internet. Okay. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is understanding more about DEI. Thank you so much for all the likes. I totally forgot to say this. No matter where you are watching, I see you got almost like 10 people on across platforms on here. Oh no, we got like 15 people on. So if you are here, your likes and your sharing of this content is always going to be helpful for me getting this content in front of more Black women. So I appreciate you if you're able to share, if you're able to like, repost, whatever that looks like for you, sending in a message. I don't care. However you want to do it, I would appreciate if you do that. So thank you so much. Okay. So if you want a little bit more in depth, I had a longer live where I had a little bit more time to talk about this, where I was talking about what diversity, equity, and inclusion is, right? So DEI, there's a lot of different acronyms, but DEI stands for diverse, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So it means that, one second. Oh, okay. I thought somebody was like sending me something. I got a message. Somebody said they were triggered, and I was like, "What's going on?" Like I thought it was something bad happened. It's live, y'all. Y'all get what y'all get. I was like, okay, awesome. So diverse means, right, we're all diverse individuals. We all have different lived experiences. We all have different backgrounds. That is not just for, people of color. It's not just for one gender. It's ensuring that everyone, no matter how diverse they are or what type of, I should say, not how diverse they are. We're all diverse, but I mean like the characteristic of their diversity, right? No matter what that is, they can be represented, and the inclusion part is a connection of that they can be included in whatever it is that we do, right? So if it's selling something, they're included in the ability to sell. If we are hiring somebody, they are able to be included in the hiring process, right? And equity understands that there are different things that different people need in order to be successful in whatever that is. Now, true DE&I, if it is done well, if it's truly a commitment, is not just an external process or a project. It is truly embedded into something. And so my framework here in this conversation is to encourage us as Black women to see and think about what processes, systems, or practices are we involved in a daily basis, right? That we have some control over, that we can better guide, right? And now I know this may change based on where you are in an organization, right? If you are here at, let's say, if you are in the base, entry level, right? And maybe the only thing that you can do is how you interact with a customer or how you interact with a colleague who calls you, right? We can continue the work of DE&I even in little ways in how we connect and speak with others and advocate for each other, right? But of course, if you're higher up in an organization, maybe you're overseeing a project, a program, a system, I don't care what it is, you can make some changes to the, like, right, like how things are structured, how we do things. And that's what I want you to think about today. I don't want you to get stressed out about systemically everything that's happening with diversity, equity, inclusion, because that's not within our locus of control. However, each of us do something every single day. It doesn't mean that it's at work, right? Even if you're unemployed, each of us do things every single day, and we can be more equitable, we can be more inclusive, and we can be more open and understanding to other individuals who don't come from our same backgrounds, right? And so I'm going to talk about this in a system, but I just want to say, what is one way that you can just be a little bit more inclusive or equitable each day, right? Even if you don't have any power over a system, maybe you're working with another individual that's marginalized, right? Maybe you can be a support system to another Black woman at your job, in your community, right? There are little ways that we can advance this work that aren't big. So I just want you to think about, it's kind of like that random acts of kindness energy, where it's like you never know how a little thing could really impact somebody else. Standing up for somebody else, speaking out. Those are little things in the way and what we can do each day to make the world more DEI. Okay. Hey, Amanda, welcome to the live, and thank you so much for the gifts. I appreciate you all. Thank you. I hit my live goal on the TikTok. Okay. Okay, so in this, I want to talk about this process, like just really provide some guidance. And also, if you have any questions for me about this, let me know. Now, most of my background experience until I fully moved into diversity, equity, and inclusion was in human resources, right? So that's why my experience is in human resources, but I'm going to try and like break down some other plays and other ways that we can think about it later. But early in my career in human resources, I was very heavy in recruitment, right? And that is absolutely one of the things that people talk about a lot for diversity, equity, and inclusion in this context, right? Hiring diverse individuals. Now, again, I'm telling you, when I was in human resources at this time, I did not understand that that was diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Like, I was just trying to have a better system that allowed me to hire the best talent, right? This is truly what it is. If we had truly diverse, equitable, and anyway, if we truly had systems that D&I was embedded in, some of these issues that we're talking about today that happen and why D&I is important, we would not need them. I will be the first to tell you that I will put down any D&I mantle that I've ever had, said, whatever, shared, if we someday, and I will gladly do that, if we are truly, if everyone has equal opportunity, right? And the fact of the matter is that we don't. But I will gladly pack it away. I'll pack it up. I'll leave, like whatever, if we reach that one day. But we'll see about that. We'll see about that. We're taking a couple steps backwards. So in the organization that I was working for at the time, where I implemented scorecards. Now, you might not know what scorecards are, but I promise I'm going to explain them to you. But I was essentially doing a lot of hiring for the organization, right? So I would go out, I would find candidates, I would screen them, I would interview them. I would provide guidance to hiring managers about interview questions and not me being on TikTok University energy. Discussion prompts is what I said. Job descriptions, Lord have mercy. So I was doing all of those things, right? So it means that I was overseeing and I was empowered to see a process and make changes. And that process was broken, okay? I mean, I make funny content online all the time about the experiences of Black women and kind of what we deal with. But in that organization, which I'm not naming any names, there was a lot of discrimination in the hiring process, particularly around individuals of a particular culture being able to professionally enter different professional spaces, right? So for instance, like, yes, one of them was absolutely a Black man. He would so he had an accent, right? He was clearly somebody that somebody would have thought was a foreigner, right? Like, was not a United States citizen. Now, this particular individual was a US citizen, but did have an accent, right? So it means that this individual and their family migrated to the United States, right? But that didn't mean that they were not American, which we have challenges still understanding that today. And so the feedback was, oh, I don't know if this individual, oh, thank you, Toka Kinsey, I love your hair. It's beautiful. Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you, because I'm doing it because it's too thick and I'm still doing it. Yes, I did this on live yesterday. We're not even halfway done because I tapped out yesterday. So thank you. You're so sweet. But yeah, so this individual, they were highly qualified, met all of the background and experience needed for the position, but they didn't want to move this individual forward. And they cited that they didn't think this individual would like be okay living in a rural area, right? Because they're like, oh, immigrants don't live in rural areas. Like, that's absolutely an insane thing to say out loud to somebody in human resources. And now this story that I'm telling you happened later, right? Which is how I use these scorecards to kind of like be able to better have those conversations. I promise it's all going to come together. And so they were like, oh, well, this individual can't work there. They probably, they don't want to live. What is going on? Something is going on with my streaming service. I don't know what it is. So sorry if I just disappeared on you. I don't. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, y'all. I think it's the streaming service, but I don't really know what's going on. I don't know how to fix it. Yeah, so the individual, they thought he wouldn't be able to work in a rural area, and so they decided that they didn't want to hire him. And I was basically the person there that said, hey, you can't say this is not a hiring decision. Like, if you go ahead and say that you don't think this person can be hired based on where they are or who they are, then they are going to sue you and they are going to win, because that's discrimination based on national origin, actually. Because what they were saying was that they thought that this person who was an immigrant like could not successfully work and do their job, right? That was the quiet part, right? Which the quiet part is said out loud in court, okay? So y'all are gonna get got. Y'all are gonna get got, okay? And so I had to have this conversation with them about that's not something that they could make a hiring decision about. Now, come to find out, all of this happened, right? And the individual it found out that the individual that was making this wanted to hire somebody who was a family friend. Obviously, that did not end up happening, just because somebody would have been. Well, that always depends on the candidate actually going to say, I'm going to sue you because I think you discriminated against me, right? So that has to happen too. But all of that to be said, like, that is something that truly happened to me and a story that I had to hear, and is something that is true about the work that we do each day. So now let's talk about what I did about it, right? So again, I did not have diversity, equity, and inclusion, but what I knew for sure is that this organization did not have a hiring practice or hiring process that allowed us to equitably. Now, I will say equitably today, but so for the purposes of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but I don't think that that organization ever truly got to equity. We got to equal consideration in that part, as something that we were working towards, which I do think had better outcomes overall. But today, like, I think there would be much more work to do, having more understanding of diversity, equity, inclusion, right? So there's levels to this, right? We can make little steps and little strides to make things better for those who come after us, or there maybe those who are there with us currently, right? So all of that being said, a hiring scorecard is something where essentially, if you are hiring an individual, you're interviewing them, then you can basically set up a scorecard, which is basically a list of all of the different qualifications that an individual needs for a particular position. And in that, you can actually go ahead and say, okay, I have all of these, I have a list, and then I have ratings. So let's say, okay, they need these 5 skills to be hired for the job. And I'm going to say, here's what good looks like, and here's what bad looks like for this position, right? So that you can evaluate everyone. Now, of course, that takes everyone looking and reviewing those jobs, the candidates, to be able to say, okay, I think this person did good on this and this didn't do good on that. Now, there is absolutely a need for bias training in that organization, but ultimately it did give us a place where we could more fairly have a discussion on which candidates were qualified for why and for why not. Okay. Based on these scorecards. So after a hiring manager interviewed a candidate, they would fill out that scorecard. It would automatically get sent to me. And then I would review the scorecard and basically say, okay, based on your collective feedback, this is the candidate who did better. Now, the thing about this, like I was saying about true unbiased feedback, was that likely bias did impact how they rated each candidate. But I was able to hold people accountable by saying, like, hey, you said this candidate wasn't qualified, or hey, this candidate couldn't do this. When in actuality, if I went back to their skill set or their interview, which a lot of times we did record or review later, we would be able to say, like, hey, that's not an accurate evaluation of this candidate, right? There are so many different ways that I was able to really have more tangible conversations because people were rating candidates. And also, I think because they had to rate the candidates and because that was going on a piece of paper, that we were better able to have conversations where individuals really and truly had to commit to what they were saying versus just kind of talking saying whatever because they could say whatever they wanted, right? And so again, I looked at a process. I looked at the recruitment system, and I said, how are candidates being mistreated in the workplace? How are they being mistreated in the recruitment process, and how I can make change? Now, again, I know I'm maybe talking about a field or an industry that you're not in or maybe not familiar with, but it's still that same step, right? So again, if we are saying, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to think about what changes I'm making or how I can embed DEI. In my case, right, I looked at the hiring criteria and I said, how can I do this better? How can I allow people to have better, who are diverse, to have better outcomes in this process, right? So I embedded something into a process. I didn't call it DEI. I didn't talk to my supervisors about equity. I just told them the things that they needed to do to make better hiring decisions. And that's what I want us to think about, right? Today, we really truly might be in a space where if we say anything diversity, equity, and inclusion, that it will get cut down, right? That it won't move forward. And that basically just using that acronym will mean something that might generally be really, now DEI is good for business, but I'm saying, like, if you took this same thing and talked about it from, oh, this would generally be helpful or better for the organization, and you said it was DEI, it might not get approved. But if you said it wasn't DEI, you didn't say anything about DEI, but it does actually still do the work of DEI, then we have still done the work. So do y'all see where I'm going here? Give me an amen if you know where I'm going with this. Give me an amen in the comments if you know where I'm going. um and I think for us who are still continuing to support the work and the way that we embed it, right? We can say that I made a case, about a new process or a new system that I know is going to create a more equitable, diverse, and inclusive workforce. But they just need to know that this is going to help us hire faster, or this is going to help us do this better, right? And because we own the process and because we're the one doing the work, right, we can embed those things, right? So what I'm saying to you with this live is to be strategic and to understand the true implications of our work and how we do it and how we speak about these things, right? Because truly, if we're able to be strategic and be thoughtful and be mindful about how we move forward, right, we can still impact change. Okay, so let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Okay. So the last thing that I will say about this, and I kind of alluded to this when I was telling this story about this particular individual that I felt like was being discriminated against, right? Was to stand on business, right? So if you are going to make a process and a system, and I'm not saying to put yourself at risk, because honestly, in this day and age, we're I shouldn't say this day and age, like we've gone too far, right? But I feel like, there were some things that were more like, okay, we can be decent humans in this time and space, right? But I want to encourage you to quote unquote stand on business, right? So if you are setting up a process or a system, right, and you know that by embedding this and you've set this up, that you'll see better outcomes, it means that you also need to be okay standing your ground, right? And standing up. And what I feel like is sometimes there is true fear and Black women, right, to set a boundary, to stand up to somebody, because we know how we are mistreated in the workplace, right? So if I know that I'm being underpaid, right, and I don't go have a conversation about how I'm being paid and being underpaid, and I don't communicate the challenges that Black women have and what we are facing in the workplace, then the cycle continues and people do not learn, and people think it is okay to underpay and poorly treat and everything else Black women. And so what I want to say is that every time we stand on business, we also open it up for other people to stand on business, quote unquote, right? Knowing that it is not okay to discriminate against a candidate for that reason may have been truly, based on the audience that I was working with, did not understand why that was illegal, did not understand why that was not okay. And I'm not saying it to normalize people being ignorant in the space or not culturally competent, but I'm telling you that that's the reality that we live in, where there are still people in the world and there are still people that go to work and they just do not get it, right? And so by us making sure that they're going to get it, I think that, we can truly change the world with one little step at a time, even if it doesn't seem meaningful, because guess what, all of us doing it together in little ways all over the place is amazing, right? And I told you I was going to think of like a couple of options for that, like customer service or healthcare, being in nonprofits, right? So with customer service, right, like if you ever have a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I think that they're treating that particular customer or client a different way because of their demographics or whatever, right? Like you do have the opportunity for, in little ways, to either say that's not our process, right, if you feel comfortable, or you can say like, oh, we're going to change this process so this doesn't have to happen to an individual like that again, right? Like setting a process or a system to define how we treat others or what we do is a real way that takes you out of the risk of like having to like stand up to somebody in management, but also can move things forward, right? So again, be strategic. I'm not saying for you to put yourself out there or for you to lose employment or anything like that because of how you're standing up for something or anything like that. But again, I think if we are navigating those spaces and we understand what we can control and what we can't, we can ultimately make changes. Same thing in the healthcare space or nonprofit, right? Maybe there are individuals that are not treated the same as others. How can we change the system to better serve them? And so, if you take nothing from today, I want you to tomorrow, or well, tomorrow's Friday. Maybe y'all are tired. Maybe it's Monday. That's really the day. Whatever day it is, I want you to ask yourself, what is something that's I'm in control of today, right? It's the process that I oversee. It's the work that I do. It's something that I approve. And how can I make that better for the next Black woman behind me, or for the other marginalized person who has to deal with this process? How can I just improve that just a little bit better? Okay. Let me know if you all have any questions or thoughts in the comments. Your girl is going. It's a little warm in here. I don't know why. It's a little warm, but I don't want to turn on the fan because then y'all hear all the woo. Oh, hey. Oh my gosh. I missed your comment, being BMN. Yeah, girl, I'm still doing my hair. So last night, I actually forgot that I only had about 4 hours of sleep yesterday, because my fiance was away. And when he's away, I don't really sleep well. And he's back now, so I'll sleep tonight. But I got to I think it was 2 in the morning. And I was like, oh, I'll start my hair. I'll finish the rest of my hair. And I did do more, since y'all saw it yesterday. But these little twists, and my hair's so thick. It's so bad. And so I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just do it now. And then I got there and I was like, wait a second. I only had 4 hours of sleep. This is why my eyes are oh. Sometimes it's I'm not really tired. I'm just bored. And so I just need to find something to do. But yeah, your girl was really tired. And so I went to sleep with less of this done. That's fine. I'm gonna finish tonight. If I show up on live tomorrow still doing my hair, y'all can get on me. Y'all can get on me. Okay. So a couple of things I want to talk about protecting your peace, right? Because as a 92%, we decided that we are resting, we are protecting our peace, right? So what are some ways that we can continue to do the work of DEI while still protecting our peace? That's what we're going to talk about. But before I do that, I need to have a little plug right now, okay? Because when we're protecting our peace, we also have to focus on our bliss, right? We have to focus on what it is we really want. We have to focus on our dreams, our goals, our vision, whatever you want to call it, right? But us, us, and what we want. And so I am hosting the Black Woman Bliss Blueprint webinar, okay? It's a mouthful, but it's going to be good, okay? I'm hosting this webinar. It is a free webinar, and essentially I'm talking about kind of how to discover, what your Black woman bliss is, how to understand what you're good at and what you can do in your career, right? In terms of pursuing your purpose, how to build a business around the things that you really love doing, right? And so we're talking about all of that in this webinar, and it is absolutely free, and you can register. So below there is a QR code where you can join the webinar. There's also one at the very top, whichever one you want to use. But if you are on your phone and you can't use a QR code, you can actually go to my profile on whatever platform you're on. So if you're on TikTok, you can just go to the link in my bio. It is there. If you are on LinkedIn, it should actually be in the comments, or you can go look at the description or my LinkedIn profile, whatever. There are a variety of ways for you can find it. And if you were on YouTube, it is in the description box. So it says webinar or launch party, whichever one you see, you can click on it, and then you will be able to sign up for free for my upcoming webinar. I have 3 dates. I'm super excited about sharing all of this. Okay. Woo. Sorry, you all can't see. It's because I'm doing them small, but you see how thick my hair is. When it comes back up, it's so big. It's a blessing and a curse, okay? This hair. Okay. So protecting your peace in 2025 while still being able to do the work of diversity, equity, inclusion is what we're talking about now. So I see a couple more of you join. Welcome into the live. Say hello. But I think don't say D&I. I'm not saying to, let me take that back. I'm going to continue saying DEI because I do not care. If you're in an environment where you know it's risky, or if you know the environment is not going to be accepting of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I don't think it does you any good to be fighting about diversity, equity, inclusion, right? Because if they couldn't get on board even when diversity, equity, and inclusion was a trend, a social justice trend, what are they going to do? What are they going to do now? Like, it's not worth your energy. It is not worth your energy, right? And I think in some ways it's riskier for us to be able to do the work. So don't take this and say that we shouldn't be supporting DEI. What I'm telling you is if you're in that environment, is for you to be able to move forward and advance DEI in a way that you can do what you can do in your environment and in your place. Okay. The other thing is like, do not fix things, right? Like Black women are resting. And honestly, the world looks to Black women to fix everything that has gone wrong. That is what happens to us. They want us to fix all the issues, right? And respectfully, get somebody else to do it for the next 4 years. Respectfully, you can do it. Respectfully, you got us here. Respectfully, you can figure it out. And so I feel like when we have issues where, let's say, okay, people, the culture is shifting, people don't enjoy work, people are leaving, they look to Black women to fix that. And it's like, well, if you would have just listened to Black women, if you would have prioritized diversity, equity, and inclusion, you would not be here. Or they're going to have like some mess, right? Where they said, oh, okay, we're not prioritizing diversity, and inclusion. And so therefore, we're reeling back these programs that allowed them to actually not be illegal and do illegal things like hiring, like I was just mentioning, right? And they are going to, when they have that problem, they are going to ask for your labor. They are going to ask for your guidance. They are going to ask for your advice. To which I say, it is not your problem to fix that. However, if you do think that you want to fix that, you better get the paycheck, okay? You better get the title, you better get the pay raise, or you better get that little appointment or whatever, they do. It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna, this is just a one-time little initiative. And so we're gonna just have you, do this for a couple of months or whatever. Get the pay. Say this is extra work. This is not part of the work that I was hired to do. And on top of this is emotional labor. And Black women, we honestly deserve to be paid for our emotional labor. So do not hesitate to push back and say, I'm just not going to take on extra work without extra pay, right? You deserve to be paid, right? And when the big things happen, or when they have to do a new initiative to fix things and to bring DEI back because things are terrible with culture and whatever is going on with whatever they do not do it without pay, and do not allow you to be tokenized, because what happens with people who are tokenized, it's either they are the only and so they are put on a pedestal, or they are the only and then they are expected to speak, do, and be the voice of everybody else, right? It's like the Black woman who's sitting there and they're trying to do a cultural event. Oh my gosh, this happens in nonprofits. And then they want you to explain everything that's going on in the Black culture and do that. Again, it doesn't mean that it's always malicious. It doesn't always mean that they're not, they're trying not to support black people or initiatives that help Black people or Black women specifically. But what I'm saying is that they will often take advantage of you as the voice, right? And so do not allow them to tokenize you to become the voice, to be the only. Like, they need to do better. And if you were going to take on the emotional and mental labor of that, get your check, girl. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Okay. And the last one, which I already said it, but the last one on here is know your worth, right? Like, know your worth. Whatever they are paying you, not paying you, asking you to do, not asking you to do, whatever. Like, please make sure that you're advocating for pay, right? Like, I think in this space where people are thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe we don't have to really do diversity, equity, inclusion. Maybe we can just do this or that. They're gonna try and underpay you, okay? They're gonna think that they're no longer legally going to have issues with not paying you, okay? So there are little ways that we can resist. And I'm not saying that like I said, I'm not saying that I want you to come out of your Black women are resting era, but like also set your boundaries, be about that life, stand on business, okay? Because at the end of the day, like sometimes if we don't do that, it is to our own detriment. You feel me? And we cannot rest in a place of fear, anxiety, instability. You know what I'm saying? And so if we're feeling resentful about things that are happening at work, like we just can't do that. Okay, I'm done talking. I feel like I talked for a lot. I didn't get much hair done. That's because I was thinking and talking. So if you're here and you see my hair, thank you for your support for making it through 2 lives of me doing my hair. But it is helpful for me to move forward because let me tell you, I have not touched the hair today. Okay, I was frustrated. Okay. All right. Any questions from you all? I think that piece of hair is too much. That's fine. Maybe I need to get done a little bit faster. Maybe bigger pieces of hair coming. No, I don't like bigger pieces of hair in the front, so it's going to get smaller. Okay. So as we wrap up, I just want to thank you for joining me today. And I want to invite you again, all the beautiful Black women on the stream. Thank you for attending. And I also want to say, like, go ahead and sign up for my webinar. If you feel like you are doing one of two, well, I should say one of three things. One, you are trying to figure out the next step in your career. Two, you're trying to figure out what to do in your business, whether that is where you're in a place where you need to launch a business, or maybe your business isn't growing or you feel like you don't have direction in your business. So that's one thing. And then if you are sitting here feeling like you don't have clarity about what direction you want to go with life, right? So in life, I think about this for me, like, sometimes we just take the job, we just start the business, we just do whatever, but we don't actually think about what it is we really want out of that. So for instance, right, we say, oh, I'm going to start a business. This is a joke, right? But I'm going to start a business doing hair. I'm absolutely not starting a business doing hair. Do we like doing other people's hair? Do we want to travel? Like, can we travel while doing hair? Is there a particular type of like way that you like funds that you would like to have? Like, does doing hair actually enable you to warrant the amount of money that you do? And I don't mean that it can't. I just mean that you have to think about those types of things so you can actually build a business that you like. Same thing for me in my, in my 9 to 5 is, okay, what is it that I do want to do every day? Like, how do I figure that out? How does that support my lifestyle? And I knew ultimately in my lifestyle, I really, really, really wanted to be a digital nomad. Like, I don't want to be in more than one place. I don't want to be stuck in one place. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to do it frequently. And I want to feel tied down and have to go into a workplace. And we all have that, I shouldn't say we all, not all of us actually like working remotely, but what I'm saying is we may all have different reasons and we have to make decisions about our lives and what we're going to do based on what we actually want, like thinking strategically again. Do you see what I'm saying going with this? I'm talking about thinking strategically about everything. And so sometimes we just do not make decisions based on our desires, right? We make decisions based on what we think we want. So that is what I'm talking about in this webinar, really talking about my journey of getting clear about what I want, doing it with confidence, right? Scaling and pivoting in my career and building a business that I love, where today I'm able to do this 9 to 5, right? Or do this as a full-time entrepreneur and no longer having a 9 to 5, excuse me. And so we can all live some type of dream, right? We can all live the dream that we want, but if we're not clear about it, then we don't know. So yeah, I hope that you all join me. Okay, I'm going to listen to what you shared just now. But all I'm saying is that if you feel, if any of that's resonating with you, then go ahead and join me for my webinar, because we're talking about all of those things and also the challenges, again, from the lens of Black women, right? Where we are undervalued, underpaid, undercut, under whatever you want to call it, right, in the workplace. Okay, B. So B on TikTok said, work has been making me physically sick lately. Finally speaking up for myself to management. Yes, B. I love this. Congratulations for standing on business, for doing it, right? I think a lot of the times, out of fear, a lot of the time, because we think we'll be terminated, or maybe they don't like us, we won't get promoted or whatever. We we deal with things that we don't want to deal with. And then ultimately it takes its toll. Oh my gosh, did I finish? Oh no, I got one more. It takes a toll on us, right? So I was in a place where I was so unhappy that I had diagnosed depression and anxiety, right? And that truly took a toll on me. Like I didn't have, I mean, I guess I should say I was having high blood pressure, but, and things like that, that kind of went down due to the workplace stress, which could over time have, physical ramifications for me. But honestly, yeah, I had to get out of there and I had to think about what I really wanted and do what I really wanted and figure out a plan to make it happen even in a challenging job market, because the mental and emotional strain of that, and even sometimes physical strain of that, is much worse for Black women, right? With our outcomes. And so sometimes we do really have to figure out how to set boundaries. We have to think about how can we create a better situation for ourselves. And sometimes it's because we aren't having the conversations with our supervisors or whoever we're supposed to have it with. Yeah, because we're worried about it. We just don't think we can set that boundary. But often we can. It's like in our zone. It's in our zone of what we can control and who we talk to, right? So if you're here and you were like, girl, what? Boundaries at work? I don't know what you're talking about. I can't do no boundaries at work. Then I do have a recording of one of the first lives of the clock out where I do talk about setting boundaries. It might have actually been the first one. Was it the first one? Anyway, yeah. But I hope that you're feeling better, B. And I hope that, the more that you start to set those boundaries and speak up for yourself and stand up for yourself in whatever way, shape, or form you do, that things begin to improve over time. And I always say, like, don't continue to stay in a place to try and figure it out or work it out. Like, a lot of times we will blame ourselves for the situations that we are in. And sometimes we could have taken actions to like get out of that situation or to avoid that situation. But we can't blame ourselves for how others treat us. So we can always take action to move. Okay, I don't see any other comments or thoughts, but I love y'all. This is great. Tomorrow I am talking about lead magnets. I know that it's a very industry digital marketing term, but essentially a lead magnet is something that you create to attract people to your business. Oh, you're welcome, B. All the hearts. But a lead magnet is something that you create to attract people to your business. Typically, they are free, but there's things that your ideal client wants. And so they'll opt in to purchase it or not to purchase it, to download it, to access it, to whatever, as a way for you to be able to connect with people that you want to have in your business. I also think I'm going to so that's the last one for this week. I'm doing that tomorrow. But also, if you're in my Career Love community, you've been seeing some updates about different things that I am doing in my community to build behind the scenes of all the things I'm doing with my webinar and this relaunch. And so I actually am going to do a little bit of a behind the scenes, like a launch behind the scenes, so you all can see how I'm doing my webinars and all of my content and things like that, how I'm kind of structuring and scheduling things so that you can learn, like, maybe this type of launch is something that you want to do in your business. And so I'm happy to like share those things with you all. So woo, I talked a lot. I don't have anything else to say, but I do want to say that, like, continue loving yourselves, continue protecting your peace, continue to make little changes and do little revolutionary things that, again, make the world a better place for other Black women and the next generation of Black women, even though they won't be coming from me because I have no children. But I want the world to be a better place for your children if you have them. All right, y'all. I will see you tomorrow for lead magnets. I'm super excited for this conversation. And as always, if you're watching this later, feel free to comment or send me a message if you have any questions. But I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for a great live. Bye. I can